Good morning. I'm here to introduce you to this playground, which will allow us to test contracts written in TypeScript that can be deployed on the Arbitrum Stylus blockchain. For that, we'll follow the tutorials provided and learn about the different tools. Here in this first step, we have to choose whether we're going to do the ERC20 or ERC721 tutorial. For this tutorial, we're going to select ERC20. So we select here. Here it explains that we write code in TypeScript. With that, we'll generate code in assembly script, which will be compiled to WebAssembly. And that WebAssembly code can be deployed on the Arbitrum Stylus VM. And in the end, we can interact with it just like we would with any contract. In the first step, we can see here the code of our smart contract. As we can see, here the events are defined. Here, using decorators, we define what a contract is. These would be the storage variables, a constructor, and here we use decorators to differentiate, for example, the view functions, which don't consume gas, from the external functions, where we use another decorator for those that are called externally. So, as we can see here, like in the ERC20 standard, we have transfer, we have approve, we can use mappings, we can emit events, and we can return values. In the first step, what we're going to do is follow this tutorial. We're going to create our project, which is called myToken. Now let's wait here while some dependencies are being installed. As a second step, while that's installing, we're going to navigate into our newly created folder and open the code editor. So here, now that this is finished, it tells us you can now compile your contract using this command. Alright, so let's open it here. Let's open our code editor and thoroughly explore its functionalities. And here we can clearly see that we have a sample smart contract, a comprehensive template that we can readily use if we so desire. For this particular tutorial, we are going to meticulously copy the essential code for our ERC20 token. Done. Now here we have the code for our ERC20. Alright, now what we absolutely need to do is to meticulously compile and subsequently generate both the assembly script code and the corresponding WebAssembly code. To accomplish this crucial task, we are going to open up the terminal application and then proceed to run this specific command, npx stylus compile, followed by the precise name of the file that comprehensively contains the entire smart contract, Stylus. This process ensures that all necessary components are properly prepared for deployment and execution within the blockchain environment. Let's run it, and that's it. We can see here that the artifacts folder was generated. What's inside artifacts? On one hand, we have the assembly script code, which is specifically associated with our contract. And on the other hand, we also have a build folder where we have the compiled WebAssembly file. And there it is. Great. Now that our contract is successfully compiled, we can proceed to deploy it on Arbitrum. To accomplish this, we'll use the following command, deploy. Private key, our designated RPC URL, the specific name of the contract, and the essential values we want to pass to the constructor. In this case, we see that our constructor has two string values, one for the name and another for the symbol. So we're going to use this command. We're going to use it here. I think I've got it. There it is. Please proceed to paste the command into the terminal and then execute it. So here we will patiently wait for a few additional seconds to pass, and then that will be absolutely everything. Indeed, the contract was deployed. So we can go to Arbitrum, Arbiscan, and we can look up this transaction hash. And here we see that the contract has indeed been deployed. Alright, now that we have successfully deployed the smart contract, we can proceed to interact with it. We are already connected here to the current page, and we are going to carefully enter the specific contract address right here. So for example, we can use the read functions and the write functions. we can see the name, the symbol, decimals, the total supply, which is currently 0, and for example, the balance of this user, which is currently 0. Now, as a first step, we could mint some tokens. So let's proceed to mint this. The process is now complete. We are executing the transaction, and once it's confirmed, we can meticulously check its details and status on Arbitrum, specifically by using Arbiscan, which is the block explorer for the Arbitrum network. Here, within the Arbiscan interface, we can clearly observe the various logs and events associated with this particular transaction. Upon reviewing these, we can ascertain that the minted asset was successfully transferred to this specific address, originating from the 0 address, and the quantity involved in this transaction is precisely 100 units. And in our contract, we can see here that now we have one more transaction. Now, if we do a balance of for the same account, we can see that there are 100. Lastly, let's try, for example, if we want to transfer this particular item to another user. That is, user B, we want to transfer 5 tokens. Let's carefully put user A back here again, and then proceed to execute the entire transaction. So here we can clearly see that user A is indeed sending the information to user B. We can confidently confirm this transaction. And here we can clearly see that the transaction was indeed successfully completed. We can observe just how incredibly fast and efficient Arbitrum Stylus truly is, which, to be completely honest, is remarkably quick and impressive. Let's look here. If we're a bit more interested, we can see the generated assembly script both from the entry point file, which is a file where we route and transform each of the parameters we receive into a pointer and pass them to the functions. And here we can see the functions that were implemented in assembly script using our library. And here we can see the generated WebAssembly. For example, we can download this file and we can see it here. Or, well, this particular one can't be easily viewed, but the what file, for example, which is a text representation, we can clearly see that it's WebAssembly. If we want to keep learning about it, we can read the documentation, which is actually very comprehensive. It explains quite a lot about decorators, for example, or events, or data types. And here there's a link to the GitHub. So, if you have any questions, we're available, and thank you very much for watching this video.